Hey everyone, Jan here. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the dark side of reality, the unexplainable, the deeply disturbing. Today, we're diving headfirst into the terrifying world of car accidents. Buckle up because today we're diving into 3 true, terrifying car accident horror stories that will make you think twice before getting behind the wheel. These aren't just your average fender benders. These are the kinds of stories that linger long after the wreckage is cleared. The kind that will make you wonder about the things that lurk just beyond the headlights. So, dim the lights, grab your favorite beverage and prepare yourself for 3 true terrifying car accident horror stories. Picture this. It's 2 a.m., the dead of night. A lone car slices through the darkness on a desolate highway. Inside, a young woman named Sarah hums along to the radio, her hands loosely gripping the steering wheel. She's driving home from a double shift at the diner, exhausted but relieved to be done for the night. The miles tick by, marked only by the rhythmic swoosh of her tires on the asphalt and the occasional lonely howl of a distant dog. As she drives, she notices something strange in her rearview mirror. A pair of headlights, far too close, far too bright for comfort, are gaining on her rapidly. Her heart skips a beat. She taps the brakes, testing, trying to gauge the distance. The car behind her doesn't slow down. Instead, it seems to speed up, its headlights now blinding in her rear view. Adrenaline surges through Sarah's veins. She grips the steering wheel tighter, her knuckles turning white. This is no ordinary driver. This is something else. Her mind races, trying to process the situation. Should she pull over? Speed up? Her foot hovers over the gas pedal. The headlights behind her are now almost touching her rear bumper. Her car is a sitting duck. Suddenly the headlights swerve, veering off the road with a deafening screech of tires on gravel. Sarah slams on her brakes, her heart pounding in her chest. She pulls over to the shoulder, her entire body trembling. She watches in horror as the other car, shrouded in darkness, speeds off into the night. The taillights disappear as quickly as they had appeared, leaving Sarah in stunned silence. What just happened? Who was that? She takes a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. She checks her mirrors again, twice, 3 times, nothing. She's alone. She slowly pulls back onto the empty highway, her hands shaking so badly she can barely grip the steering wheel. The rest of the drive is a blur. Every flickering shadow seems to hold a threat. Every rustle of leaves sends shivers down her spine. She doesn't dare turn on the radio again, the silence both deafening and terrifying. When she finally pulls into her driveway, the sky is just beginning to lighten. She stumbles out of the car, her legs shaky, her mind still replaying the terrifying encounter. She rushes inside, locking the door behind her, seeking solace within the familiar walls of her home. Even though the sun is rising, a part of Sarah knows that she will never truly outrun the terror of that night. The memory of those blinding headlights, that feeling of being hunted, will forever be seared into her mind. A chilling reminder of the unknown dangers that lurk in the darkness. The open road, a symbol of freedom, adventure, possibility. For a group of 4 friends, it promised a much-needed escape, a road trip to a secluded cabin in the mountains. There was Jake, the driver, always up for a good time. Beside him, Emily, his girlfriend, her eyes sparkling with excitement for their getaway. In the back, Chris and Lisa, their laughter already filling the car with joy. Their journey began like any other, filled with upbeat music, shared snacks, and the promise of adventure. As they left the familiar cityscape behind and ventured deeper into the heartland, the landscape shifted. Rolling hills gave way to dense forests, the air grew heavy with the scent of pine needles, and the sunlight struggled to penetrate the thick canopy of leaves overhead. A strange sense of unease settled over the group. The once lighthearted banter dwindled, replaced by an uncomfortable silence broken only by the hum of the engine and the occasional unsettling creak from the depths of the forest. As dusk approached, casting long, eerie shadows across their path, Jake decided to stop for the night at a roadside motel. The neon sign, flickering erratically in the growing darkness, did little to dispel the growing sense of dread that had settled upon them. The motel itself was desolate, seemingly abandoned despite the glowing vacancy sign. Dust coated the reception desk, and the air hung heavy with the smell of mildew and decay. Reluctantly, they took their keys from the unsettlingly cheerful old motel owner and retreated to their rooms. That night, sleep offered no escape from the growing sense of unease. Emily was plagued by nightmares, waking with a gasp to the sound of whispering voices just outside their door. Chris swore he saw a shadowy figure lurking at the edge of the woods, its eyes glowing ominously in the darkness. Determined to shake off the unsettling atmosphere, they set off early the next morning, eager to reach their destination. But the road ahead held a more sinister plan for them. As they rounded a sharp bend, a figure darted out from the trees. Jake slammed on the brakes, the car skidding dangerously on the wet asphalt. Time seemed to slow to a crawl as the car careened towards the figure. A deafening crash, the shattering of glass. Then, silence. When Jake regained consciousness, his ears ringing, his vision blurred, he realized with horror that they had hit something. He stumbled out of the car, his heart pounding in his chest. But the road was empty. There was no sign of the figure they had struck. Had he imagined it? His friends, shaken but unharmed, assured him there had been someone or something in the road. But how could there be nothing there? As they continued their journey, the oppressive atmosphere intensified. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow that crossed their path, seemed to whisper a warning. They were being watched, hunted. Their once promising road trip had transformed into a desperate flight for survival. The morning commute. A symphony of honking horns, screeching brakes, and the frustrated sighs of countless drivers navigating the urban jungle. For Michael, it was a daily ritual, as familiar and monotonous as brushing his teeth. He settled into his usual route, his mind already preoccupied with the day's meetings and deadlines. The radio droned in the background, a soundtrack to the mind-numbing crawl of rush-hour traffic. As he waited at a particularly congested intersection, his gaze drifted to the car next to him. An old beat-up sedan with peeling paint and a dented bumper. Behind the wheel sat an elderly woman, her face pale and gaunt, her eyes fixed on the road ahead with an unsettling intensity. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment, and Michael felt a shiver run down his spine. There was something unsettling about her gaze, something cold and piercing that sent a wave of unease washing over him. He quickly looked away, dismissing it, as his imagination playing tricks on him. The light turned green, and Michael continued on his way, the encounter already fading from his mind. But as he drove, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He glanced nervously in his rearview mirror, half expecting to see the old woman's car following closely behind. But there was nothing there, just the usual sea of taillights stretching out before him. He tried to focus on the radio, on the mundane tasks that awaited him at the office, but the unsettling feeling persisted. It was as if an icy hand had gripped his heart, squeezing tightly with each passing mile. Then it happened, a sudden screech of brakes, the deafening crunch of metal on metal. Michael's car spun violently, the world outside his windshield transforming into a chaotic blur of motion and sound. He slammed against the steering wheel, the airbag exploding in his face, momentarily plunging him into darkness. When he regained consciousness, his ears ringing, his vision blurry, he realized with a jolt that his car was a mangled wreck. The windshield was shattered, the hood crumpled like an accordion, and smoke billowed from the engine. He was disoriented, his head pounding, his body screaming in protest. As he struggled to free himself from the wreckage, he noticed something that sent a wave of ice-cold terror coursing through his veins. The old woman's car, the one he had seen at the intersection, was stopped a short distance away. And the old woman was staring directly at him, her face a mask of cold, calculating malice. He watched in horror as she slowly raised her hand, pointing a gnarled finger in his direction. Then, with a screech of tires, she sped away, disappearing into the maze of city streets. Michael sat there, trapped in his mangled car, his heart pounding in his chest. Was it just a coincidence? Or had that old woman somehow caused this accident? He couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled into something sinister, something that defied rational explanation. The accident, the old woman's chilling gaze, it all felt like a terrifying premonition, a warning from a realm beyond his understanding. As the sirens drew closer, Michael knew that his life had changed forever. The mundane routine of his daily commute had been shattered, replaced by a chilling fear that would forever haunt his every journey. So, the next time you're behind the wheel, remember these stories. The open road may offer freedom and adventure, but it can also be a place of unexpected terror. The things that go bump in the night might not always stay hidden in the shadows. Remember, always stay alert and drive safely. You never know what might be lurking around the next corner. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more spine-chilling tales. Until next time, stay safe out there.